say this every evening to change your life. Each evening as darkness falls, remind yourself, I am the master of my destiny. Say with conviction, all that I desire is already moving toward me. Repeat, my thoughts create my reality. Tonight, I plant only seeds of greatness. Affirm, tomorrow bends to the will I forge tonight in faith and clarity. End with, I am calm, I am confident, and I am becoming all I was born to be. 1. Affirm your dominion over thoughts before sleep. 2. Speak your desires aloud as if they are already yours. 3. Release all doubt and fear from your mind. 4. Visualize tomorrow shaped by tonight's intentions. 5. End the day with gratitude, belief, and inner calm. Every evening, just before you close your eyes and surrender to sleep, there lies a golden moment, a sacred space of stillness where your mind softens, your thoughts drift, and the gate between your conscious and subconscious mind begins to open wide. And it is in this moment, when the world grows quiet and the noise of the day begins to fade, that you must seize control of your inner kingdom and affirm your absolute dominion over your thoughts. For the thoughts you allow to take root in your mind in these final minutes will marinate in the soil of your subconscious all through the night, shaping your beliefs, directing your emotions, and ultimately determining the course of your actions the very next day. You see, the mind, like a fertile garden, will grow whatever seeds are planted in it, be it fear or faith, doubt or determination, confusion or clarity, and it does not care what you plant. It will nurture weeds as well as roses with equal devotion, which is why it becomes your solemn duty as the ruler of your mental estate to choose your thoughts with care, to choose them with intention, and to choose them with power, especially before sleep, because the subconscious never sleeps. It listens, it receives, and it creates based on the mental blueprints you hand it each night. And so you must stop letting your last thoughts be of worry, regret, resentment, or failure. And instead you must rise above the ordinary habits of the world and begin to speak to yourself like a king, like a queen, like a soul that knows it was born for greatness. Not someday, not later, but right now, because when you say, I am the master of my destiny, with the full weight of belief behind it, when you declare, I direct my thoughts and they shape my world, you are not merely speaking words. You are issuing commands to the deepest part of yourself, the part that governs every decision, every reaction, every vision you carry into your life. Understand this. The mind that goes to sleep in fear will awaken to confusion, but the mind that falls asleep in strength will rise in purpose. So do not let yourself drift into unconsciousness with the taste of limitation in your mouth. Instead, taste the richness of possibility, chew on the sweetness of what's possible for you, and say aloud, even if softly, even if just a whisper, I am in control of my thoughts, and my thoughts are building my future. Because this one sentence, repeated nightly, can transform the entire direction of your life. It's not magic, it's not mystery, it is law, the law of autosuggestion, the law of repetition, the law of belief. And here's the truth most people miss. The mind is always listening, but it listens closest in the quiet hours when the noise has died down and the world isn't screaming at you anymore. So give it something worth listening to. Feed it courage, feed it success, feed it truth, feed it images of you walking tall, speaking clearly, living fully, giving freely, growing daily, because the subconscious doesn't care if what you're saying is true. It only cares if you believe it. And if you say it enough times with emotion, your subconscious begins to accept it as reality. And once it does, everything in your external world begins to align with that inner truth. Now, some will scoff at this practice, dismissing it as self-help fluff or new age nonsense. But the wise, the truly wise, understand that no external success, no wealth, no relationship, no recognition can ever sustain itself if the mind behind it is undisciplined, chaotic, or filled with doubt, because the outer world is just a mirror reflecting the inner one, and if you want your circumstances to change, you must first change the internal movie that's playing on loop inside your head every night before you fall asleep. So instead of replaying failures or worrying about tomorrow, begin to affirm what you want to see, not what you fear might happen. Say, I am capable, I am strong, I am aligned with the power of purpose. And let these words wash over your heart and sink deep into the soil of your spirit, because what enters your mind in those final moments will echo throughout the chambers of your soul while you sleep, and that echo will either build you or break you. And while the rest of the world is scrolling through distractions or drowning in dread as they drift off, you will be one of the few, yes, the rare few, who are using that sacred window to rise above the ordinary and condition the mind for extraordinary outcomes. This is how leaders are made, how dreamers become doers, how fearful souls become fearless creators. It doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen each night, little by little, word by word, thought by thought, as the voice within becomes stronger than the voices around you. So tonight, when your head touches the pillow, don't surrender your mind to chaos. Command it, lead it, guide it, and declare with unshakable certainty, my thoughts are mine to control, and I choose to think thoughts that empower me, thoughts that uplift me, thoughts that align with the life I was born to live. Because if you can do that, if you can master those final moments before sleep, you will begin to wake up each morning not only more focused, more centered, and more determined, but also more aligned with your deeper self, your greater calling, and the limitless reservoir of strength that has always been within you, waiting for you to speak it into life. There is immense, untapped power in the human voice, especially when it is used not to complain or doubt, but to boldly declare what one desires as though it already exists. And if you wish to alter the course of your life, if you truly intend to rise above average circumstances and live a life of greatness, then you must begin each evening by speaking your desires aloud, not as distant dreams or vague hopes, but as living realities already moving through your life, already manifesting, already yours in spirit and soon in form, because when you say something with emotion, with belief, and with repetition, you are not simply uttering empty words, you are programming your subconscious, you are aligning your energy, and you are placing a firm order with the infinite intelligence that governs this universe. The mistake most people make is that they beg, they plead, they hope, they wish. They speak from lack instead of from abundance, but you must do the opposite. You must speak as if, because the subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It only responds to what is repeated and felt deeply. So if you say, I am wealthy, and say it every night with feeling, even before the money comes, even when the bank account says otherwise, you begin to feel wealth, and when you feel it, you act differently, and when you act differently, the world reacts differently to you. The energy you give off shifts, your standards rise, your choices align, and slowly, reality begins to mirror the inner image you've created. But it all starts with the spoken word, because words are not mere sounds. They are vibrations, they are instructions, they are seeds, and the moment you say something with intent, you begin the process of bringing it to life. You must understand this. Everything in your life right now was first a thought, a desire, a feeling, and eventually a declaration, whether you knew it or not. So why not take the reins of that power and use it deliberately? Why not begin each night by saying, I am successful, I am confident, I attract powerful opportunities, I am surrounded by abundance, not because you're lying to yourself, but because you are choosing to plant better seeds, stronger thoughts, and higher visions into your subconscious mind, which works tirelessly all through the night to bring forth whatever has been impressed upon it with conviction. And I tell you now, the reason why most never change their lives is not because they're unlucky or undeserving, but because they keep reinforcing what is, instead of declaring what will be as if it already is. But when you speak from the place of certainty, when you say, I am healthy, I am loved, I am powerful, and you do it night after night, even before the evidence appears, you begin to walk with a new kind of energy, a new rhythm, a new level of clarity, and it's that shift in energy that attracts the people, places, and events that make the vision real. Yes, some may mock it, some may laugh, some may call it foolish, but do not be shaken by those who have not yet discovered the laws that govern success. For every great man and woman, every inventor, every leader, every builder of empires has first spoken their vision into the world, long before it came to pass. They called it forth, they announced it, they claimed it, because they knew that the spoken word backed by belief is a form of creation. So tonight, when the world is quiet and your heart is still, don't just think your desires. Speak them, give them voice, breathe life into them. Say, I am grateful for the life of purpose that is unfolding before me. Say, money flows to me easily because I provide value. Say, I radiate love and attract love in return. Say, my destiny is mine, and I claim it now. And say it not with doubt or hesitation, but with the fire of faith in your voice, because your words are not just sounds. They are creative commands echoing into the invisible, shaping the world that is yet to come. And even if you feel silly, even if your current circumstances seem to contradict what you're saying, do it anyway, because faith is not seeing and then believing. Faith is believing and then seeing, and this is how you show faith. Not in silence, not in secrecy, but in your spoken truth, in your unapologetic affirmation that your desires are valid, your dreams are possible, and your life is worthy of greatness. And every time you speak like that, you build new mental pathways, you impress new patterns on your brain, and your entire being begins to shift from the inside out. Remember, success does not come to those who merely wish, it comes to those who declare what they want again and again, without shame, without fear, and without backing down. And when you make this a nightly habit, when every evening becomes a ritual of speaking your desires aloud as if they are already yours, you will begin to feel a new sense of control, a new sense of direction, and eventually, you will look back and realize that your entire world has transformed, not by chance, but by choice, by declaration, and by the unstoppable force of your voice aligned with belief. Every evening, as the sun dips below the horizon and the sky darkens into calm, you are gifted with a quiet, powerful opportunity, a chance to release every doubt, every fear, every limiting thought that has ever whispered to you that you are not enough, that you are not capable, that your dreams are too big or your circumstances too hard, because those thoughts, those fears, those creeping shadows of hesitation are not real forces with power of their own. They are illusions crafted by the ego and the environment, fed by repetition, and they grow only when you let them linger in the soil of your mind without challenge. But when you confront them, when you look them straight in the eye and say, "You do not belong to me," you take back your power, and that power is yours by divine right, for you were not born with doubt. You learned it, you absorbed it, you inherited it from the fears of others, from the mistakes of the past, from the noise of a world that told you to be realistic, to shrink, to stay safe. But safety is not what you were made for. You were made for expansion, for risk, for triumph, and all of that becomes possible the moment you decide to cast off doubt and step into certainty. Not because everything is perfect, but because you no longer require perfection to believe in yourself. Fear, you must understand, is a thief. It steals your peace, your potential, your present moment. And if you let it, it will wrap its cold fingers around your heart and convince you that you are powerless. But you are not powerless. You are powerful beyond measure. And every single time you feel fear rise, you have A choice. You can shrink or you can rise. You can back away or you can step forward. And this choice, repeated night after night, becomes the shape of your character, the blueprint of your destiny. That is why the evening is so crucial, because it is when you are most receptive, most open, most able to reprogram the mind, and if you allow yourself, just for a few minutes each night, to sit still, take a breath, and declare to yourself with calm authority, I release all fear from my mind, I let go of every doubt, I choose faith, I choose strength. You begin to unravel the old wiring that kept you stuck and start forming a new identity, one not shaped by worry or scarcity, but by courage, clarity, and conviction, and you must say it aloud, feel it in your chest, speak it until it becomes real, because your subconscious mind doesn't know difference between a truth you live and a truth you speak repeatedly until it takes root. And when it hears you say, I am not afraid to fail, I am not afraid to succeed, I trust the path I'm on, your inner world begins to believe you, and when your inner world shifts, your outer world follows. Now, this is not some abstract idea. This is the foundational law of thought, the unseen force that moves mountains for those who master it. And yet most people lie down each night with their mind full of worry. Worry about money, about the future, about what others think, about whether they are enough, and they don't realize that this quiet torment is shaping their tomorrow. For what you carry into sleep, you carry into your subconscious, and what your subconscious accepts, it begins to build. So if you want to wake up to a new life, you must go to sleep as a new thinker, and that means letting go of what they said, letting go of what you feared might happen, letting go of the lie that you are behind or broken or incapable, because the truth is, you are exactly where you are supposed to be right now to become all you were destined to become, but only if you stop feeding fear and start feeding faith. And yes, the doubts may still come knocking, but you don't have to let them in. You don't have to make them tea and invite them to stay. You can look them in the eye and say, I see you, but you do not control me anymore. And with that one act of inner authority, you start to rewire the mind, reshape your emotional landscape, and reclaim the mental real estate that was once owned by hesitation and hesitation alone. And do not think this must be complicated. It is not, because releasing fear is not about eliminating all nervousness or never feeling uncertainty. It is about deciding that you will not be ruled by those feelings anymore, that you will not let temporary emotions make permanent decisions, that you will not shrink from your calling just because your path is unclear, because the path always becomes clearer after you start walking, not before. So each evening you must set aside the noise of the day, turn your focus inward, and speak with authority over your own mind, and say things like, fear is not my guide, vision is, doubt is not my truth, my purpose is, I am strong enough to figure it out, brave enough to try again, and wise enough to keep going. And when you speak like this, you are not only reminding yourself of who you truly are, you are replacing the old narrative with a new one that serves you, uplifts you, and builds the inner momentum necessary to take bold action in the days to come. And I promise you this, the world will rise to meet you when you stop hiding from it, when you stop hiding from yourself, when you step into your true nature, which is fearless, focused, and free. And you don't have to be perfect to do this. You just have to be willing to believe that life can be different if you start thinking differently, willing to believe that what happened before doesn't have to define what comes next, willing to believe that you are far more powerful than you've ever been told, because you are, and the only thing standing between you and the life you were born to live is a wall of fears that dissolve the moment you refuse to feed them anymore. So tonight, release it. Release the fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of judgment, the fear of not being good enough. Because none of it is true unless you keep carrying it, and you have carried it long enough. It's time now to let it drop, to breathe in peace, to breathe out tension, and to affirm with every cell of your being, I release fear, I choose faith, I let go of doubt, I walk in purpose. And let those words be the final thing your mind hears before sleep takes you, because when they are, your dreams begin to change, your mornings begin to feel different, and slowly but surely, your life begins to match the energy of a person no longer afraid to live fully, love boldly, or pursue what matters with unshakable belief. Each evening before your eyes shut and you surrender your body to sleep, there is a divine opportunity, a sacred and often ignored moment where you can design the very structure of your tomorrow by forming it in the workshop of your mind, because your mind is not just a thinking organ, it is mold, a blueprint creator, a projector of what will soon become your physical experience. And if you do not take hold of that creative power deliberately, the circumstances of the world, the habits of your past, and the unconscious fears that live within you will shape your life by default rather than design. So tonight and every night, make it a ritual, a personal and powerful routine to close your eyes and see not what was, but what shall be, not as a wish, not as a daydream, but as a command, as a confident instruction to the part of yourself that listens, watches, and obeys your most dominant thoughts, because the mind, especially in the moments before sleep, is like wet cement, soft, receptive, willing to take on whatever image you press into it, and you must press in a vision of tomorrow that excites you, that stretches you, that aligns with your deepest desires, for when you visualize your ideal day, your ideal outcomes, your ideal feelings, you are not simply fantasizing, you are initiating the mental creation that must precede all physical manifestation. Everything begins in the mind, whether it be a failure or a fortune, a downfall or a destiny, and those who rise above average circumstances understand this truth. You do not stumble into success. You design it, you see it, you feel it in advance, and you call it forth with unwavering faith and emotional clarity. So as your head meets the pillow, begin to see yourself waking up strong, smiling, certain, see yourself moving through the day with grace, confidence, and purpose. See yourself speaking with power, solving problems with ease, attracting opportunities effortlessly, because the more vividly you rehearse these moments, the more your subconscious believes they are real, and the subconscious, once convinced, begins to influence your behavior, your decisions, your expectations, and eventually the external events that mirror what you've been envisioning all along. Do not underestimate the power of this nightly practice, for the world is shaped by men and women who saw their tomorrow long before it arrived, and when others were reacting to the noise of life, these visionaries were scripting their days in silence, rehearsing their greatness before the audience ever appeared. And this is what you must do. You must be the director of your life, not just the actor, and visualization is the director's chair, the place where you decide how the scene unfolds before the camera rolls. Now, don't worry if your current situation contradicts your vision, because you are not visualizing what is, you are visualizing what will be, and by doing so, you are bridging the gap between the seen and the unseen, between the now and the next, and this gap is closed only by faith, repetition, and emotional engagement. So when you see yourself succeeding, don't just view it like a movie, feel it, taste it, breathe it in, let it stir something inside you, let it become so real in your mind that when you wake up, your actions begin to match that vision, because this is how change begins, not with outer action alone, but with inner seeing. And if you do this night after night, if you visualize yourself living with intention and grace and abundance, you begin to develop the inner certainty that what you desire is already yours, and this certainty removes hesitation, silences doubt, and builds momentum. And here is the miracle of it all. The universe begins to respond not because you wished for something, but because you expected it, and expectation is the silent partner of belief. It communicates to life itself that you are ready, that you are willing, that you are already aligned, and it will bring to you people, resources, and situations that seem almost too perfectly timed to be coincidence. But they are not. They are reflections of your mental movie being played out in real time, and that movie begins tonight, right now, in your mind. So ask yourself, what do I want tomorrow to look like? How do I want to feel? Who do I want to be? Don't leave it to chance. Don't leave it to outside influence. Create it yourself down to the smallest detail, and if you do this with sincerity and consistency, you will begin to notice the subtle ways life starts to reflect your new thoughts. Small wins, unexpected breakthroughs, moments of synchronicity, all signs that your inner world is bleeding into the outer one, and the more you trust this process, the more powerful it becomes. Remember, this is not idle imagination. This is purposeful design, and it has been used by every great thinker, every high achiever, every champion long before the victory ever appeared in the flesh. It was won in the mind, rehearsed in the mind, claimed in the mind, and you must do the same. So tonight, take a few deep breaths, silence the distractions, and begin to see with inner eyes. See yourself rising with energy, moving with purpose, speaking with confidence. See yourself surrounded by success, appreciated, respected, fulfilled. See yourself walking through a world that supports your vision, and then, once that image is formed, release it with gratitude, knowing that it is already in motion, and say to yourself, tomorrow is mine. Shaped by my intentions tonight, directed by my inner vision, and made real by my unwavering belief. And go to sleep not as a passive dreamer, but as an active creator who understands that what you visualize with faith, you magnetize with energy, and what you magnetize with energy, you materialize in life. And if doubts come, let them pass like clouds in the sky. Don't chase them, don't argue with them, just return to the vision, hold the image, trust the process, and know this above all else. You are never at the mercy of circumstances when you become the master of your mind, and your mind is never more moldable than in those final moments before you sleep. So use them well, use them wisely, and begin tonight to shape the tomorrow you know deep down you were born to live. When the day has drawn to a close and the noise of the world has faded into silence, when the distractions have dissolved and the demands of life have finally loosened their grip, that is your time, your sacred window, to return to yourself and reset your soul, and in that quiet space between wakefulness and sleep, you must deliberately choose how to close the chapter of your day, not with worry or regret, not with anxiety or exhaustion, but with the powerful forces of gratitude, belief, and inner calm. For these are the emotions that open the doorway to peace and activate the spiritual forces that continue working on your behalf even while you rest. And I tell you now, there is no greater way to change your life than to end each night by filling your mind with what is right instead of what is wrong, by choosing to see what's working instead of what's missing, by declaring with quiet conviction that life is unfolding exactly as it should, because your final thoughts before sleep do not simply vanish into the night. They sink, they settle, they influence the subconscious, and the subconscious governs not only your dreams but your habits, your mindset, and your reactions. When you wake up, so if you go to bed with a heart full of gratitude, a mind anchored in belief, and a spirit calm and trusting in the process, you will rise with clarity, strength, and renewed purpose. And gratitude, my friend, is not a passive act. It is a weapon against negativity, a signal to the universe that you recognize your blessings, even in the middle of adversity, and when you express it, genuinely, humbly, and consistently, you multiply what you appreciate, because life gives more to those who honor what they already have. Say to yourself, thank you for the lessons of this day. Thank you for the strength I showed, the growth I experienced, the people who walked with me, and even the struggles that taught me. For everything that happened today, good or bad, was part of your evolution, and when you accept that, when you honor that, you free yourself from bitterness and replace it with understanding, and understanding is the beginning of transformation. Now, after gratitude comes belief, not the shallow kind of belief that crumbles in difficulty, but the deep, unwavering kind that says, no matter what happened today, I still believe in the vision I carry. I still believe in the greatness within me. I still believe that something larger than myself is guiding me forward. And this belief is not something you wait to feel. It is something you decide to carry, even when you don't have all the answers, because belief is what keeps the fire lit. It is what separates those who persist from those who give up. And if you can end each day with even a mustard seed of belief in yourself, in your purpose, and in the invisible forces of creation that respond to your thoughts and emotions, then you are planting seeds of success that no obstacle can steal from you. And those seeds will grow in the soil of your subconscious while you sleep, watered by your gratitude, rooted in your faith, strengthened by your calm. And when you rise, you will not rise weak or confused, but steady and sure, ready to take another step toward your destiny. And that final peace, inner calm, is not something the world gives you. It is something you must create within, a stillness you must practice, especially at night when your mind wants to replay every mistake, every conversation, every unfinished task. And in those moments, you must take a breath, place your hand over your heart if you must, and speak to your own soul, saying, "It is done for today. I did what I could. I release what I cannot control, and I trust that all is well." Because calm is not weakness, calm is mastery. It is the ability to remain grounded in chaos, to hold peace in a storm, to know that your power is not in control but in surrender. And when you release the urge to fix everything before bed, you allow a greater force to take over while you sleep. Your mind rests, your body heals, and your spirit becomes open to receive divine guidance. And that is where the magic happens, not in constant struggle, but in quiet alignment. And if you make it a habit to close each day like this, to close it with gratitude for the present, belief in the future, and calm in the soul, you will begin to notice how life starts to open up in response, how stress becomes less suffocating, how your mood improves, your health improves, your clarity improves, and people around you start responding differently, because calm energy is magnetic, grateful energy is uplifting, and belief is contagious. This is not wishful thinking, it is universal law. You attract what you are, and if what you are each night is a calm, grateful believer in your own life story, then life will reflect that identity back to you in ways both big and small, and your days will become easier not because the challenges disappear, but because your perspective becomes stronger than the problem. And all of this, yes, all of it, begins with a simple decision to end your day not with complaints, but with thanks, not with fear, but with faith, not with anxiety, but with peace. Because no matter what the day brought you, you are still standing, you are still learning, you are still growing, and that alone is something to be thankful for. So tonight, take a moment for yourself, no phone, no noise, just you and your breath and the thoughts you choose to carry into your dreams, and make those thoughts count, make them warm, make them strong, make them sacred. Because you are not just going to sleep, you are stepping into the workshop of creation, and how you enter that space will determine what kind of life you awaken to tomorrow. So breathe deeply, think gently, and say to yourself, "I am grateful, I believe, and I am at peace." Then close your eyes with that energy in your heart and let the universe do the rest.